With great pleasure, I welcome you to the Nigerian Virtual Book Fair 2020.
And welcome to the 19th Annual Nigerian Book Fair.
So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2020 Nigeria International Book Fair.
What have we done? If you publish a book and it doesn't get to the end user, that book is out.
Many booksellers associations fail. As our moderator pointed out, there is the inevitable conflict between individual success, running fastest, and association success, moving together.
First of all, let me congratulate all who have worked hard to take the traditional book.
So to say, I welcome you all to this evening session of our program and the last in the series of this virtual book fair. The new normal has come to stay, and we have to start living with it and just have to improve on it and to suit our purpose and suit our businesses. What we are looking at this evening is the association itself, the Bookseller Association of Nigeria. What makes an association is the people. It's not neither a building or the name, it's the people behind it. And I think that's what we are looking at this evening. In the last 1 year, we've had a team who has been looking at our membership and trying to know how many are we currently. About 10, 15 years ago, we had a directory. Then we had about 3,000 thereabout members. No, between then and now, what are we? How many members do we have? If you know our members, then it will be easy to talk to ourselves. It will be easy to now agree on certain position. It will be easy to have a voice. It will be easy to move forward. And that's what we're working at. This is one of the major agenda of this administration, of the current executives. When we came on board, it's one of our cardinal points. And we want to ensure that within the 2 years, we are able to present something. So far, a team has worked on this. And then what they have, where we are today, is what they want to show to us. Behind that scene is Mr. Richard Mama and Mr. Adegola Adeshina. So, with myself. So these two people will be telling us what we have been able to do so far and what little things we need to do more. Then we also, those of us that are within the Zoom room and outside can ask questions either within the time or after, so that we can have a very good directory. If we have a very good directory of membership, and then we are able to get to know what are we contributing to the economy of Nigeria, it is then only we can approach the government and say we want XYZ because we are giving you ABC. Without that, if you cannot say authoritatively that we are contributing ABC, then no, we can go to government and say we want this. They will say, who are you? You know? So I know we are contributing a lot. So we want to see a way we can ascertain what we are contributing to the economy and then be able to approach the government and say we want this. We are not alone in this. While we do our own, the publishers are also coming up with their own. The authors, the librarians, well, that one is easy to know, or much easier to know. The printers are also there. So all of us together, we can now come together and have a voice. So on that note, I welcome you all to this session, and I'm sure we're going to have a refreshing time, especially members of the association will have a lot to gain from what we're going to be discussing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the President. Without much ado, we want to roll in with the major discussions. I can see Mr. Richard Mama, the MD, CEO of Sunbird African Media Limited, is a publisher, and is a well-known name in the industry, and Mr. Adegbola Adesina. I know these two people will do us well and will lead us in the direction of our discussion this evening. So I want to step aside briefly while I hand over the stage to Mr. Richard Mama and Mr. Adegbola Adesina. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Tauma. I'll be starting this the review or presentation of the Nigerian Booksellers Directory. Just like the President said, what we are presenting today is where we are at present. And one of the reasons for this presentation is for members to ask relevant questions so that we can fill in the gaps and be able to present a commendable publication. So with that, let me begin by commending the current executives of the Bookseller Association, and in particular the president, for his vision in conceiving the idea of a directory for the body. This is because next to a robust website is a good directory that the publics, both local and international, can access for information on those who ply the trade. I must mention straight away that the motive behind this virtual presentation of the directory is to sensitize stakeholders to the publication with a view to creating opportunity for improvement through corrections, observations, and suggestions. It must also be said that the publishing and production process of the book have also been negatively impacted because of the COVID-19 pandemic. I think that's the buzzword in the world right now. Specifically, data gathering efforts were hampered during the lockdown. Otherwise, a physical book will have since become a reality. Again, we are presenting where we are right now. Before I delve into the contents of this important publication, it is fitting to mention some other reasons for this project. One of the reasons is that the importance of a ready reference material on a professional body whose members daily relate with practically everybody in the society cannot be overstressed. You will agree with me that booksellers interact with everybody in the society. Books may not be like food or drugs or some other things, but students, teachers, old people, government, they cannot do without books. So these are the so we need to have a ready reference material on the people that are applying this trade. Otherwise, we will not be respected. Also, there's the need to provide a publication that provides reliable data for the use of members, government, schools, publishers, and other stakeholders in the education and knowledge industry. For a long time, the BAN does not have a codified data whereby you can just look and see the people that are behind this in a very orderly and logical manner. So another reason is for us to have that kind of thing. Again, Bookseller Association of Nigeria has come of age, and there's the need to have a codified document for the present and also for posterity. It is what we do today that will become a reference tomorrow. And if we do it well, we have given the generations coming behind us a platform on which to operate, and they can improve upon what we have. But if we don't have anything, then we cannot claim to have done the association any good. Then the publication. There are two compilers of this publication. and that was compiled by Mr. Daru Luatui, the current band president and managing director of CSF Bookshops Limited, and Mr. Richard Mama, MDC of Sunbed African Media Limited, publishers of the Difference newspaper, and is also a contributing editor, Business Hallmark. Mr. Mama, who is an author of a number of books, has a vast knowledge of the book industry, and that in 2003 published the Nigerian Books Directory and Guide for 2003 and 2004, with an earlier version in 2002. The copies of those directories are still available even as I talk. Readers will see and feel the combined rich experiences of book compilers in this directory. Again, when you have a publication, you want to look at people behind it. How authoritative are they to want to bequeath to generations coming, or more generation, something they can refer to. Mr. Oluwatui has been in the book selling industry for a number of years, and I think he has spent almost all his entire working career, probably maybe for 2 years before then, on some other things. So he can claim to know what booksellers and book selling actually is. So the publication is being published by BAN in association with CSF Bookshops Limited. It's a partnership to get this book done. So how is the directory organized? What do we want? What are we going to see when we have this directory? The plan is in a few weeks' time to roll out the physical copies. By the time we're able to get some input today, and we are able to build it up. So the booksellers directory follows the usual standard book publishing format. It has the prelim matters, the text itself, which is the book, and the end matters. So what do we find in the preliminary matters? In the form in which the manuscript is right now, the preliminary matters are on pages 1 to 9. And then the preliminary matters feature the preface, the acknowledgements, and the introduction. Here, the reader will also come across the methodology employed in gathering data for the publication. Again, because a directory is a compilation of data, you must have a method, you must have a technique to get the data. If the technique or method is faulted, then the directory cannot be authoritative. So we are going to see there. Perhaps it will be hard to have a glimpse into the mind of BAM president in what actually gave birth to the publishing of the Nigerian Booksellers Directory, the one we are presenting today. And in the preface, Mr. Oluwatui said, and I quote, "When I became president of the Booksellers Association of Nigeria, BAN, one of the realities that I was confronted with was that of simply finding the rest of my members. Other than those that attended the convention of the association where my colleagues and I were elected as executive members of the association, we were aware that there were indeed many other booksellers out there that needed to be brought into the scheme of things. How were we to do this?" I think that question agitated the minds of the president, and he went on to share with the executives, and that is why the book actually, that's why we are producing this book. The answer to the above poster, which he asked, how were we to do this, can be found in the publication of the present directory. Another significant aspect of the preliminary matters is the method adopted by the compilers to gather the data. According to the duo, the compilers, the booksellers, publishers, and other segments of the book trade were contacted through their segment trade associations, that MPA and so on. Individual players across the country were also reached out to. Of course, I can attest to this because I knew the workings of Mr. Mama at that time and his research assistant who was spread across the nation, and they were gathering information even since last year before the outbreak of COVID-19. Again, physical field trips were undertaken, interviews were conducted, and data were equally gathered through the internet, email, telephone calls, and text messaging just to get information. And again, the compilers attended as many book sector events to afford them the opportunity of physically harvesting data. For you to be where the players are, you may have to go to some of their occasions or events. And I remember meeting Mr. Mama at the Booksellers Association of Nigeria function, MPA, and so on, just to mine information. The inclusion of this information in the directory is to give users the assurance that data in the publication is authentic and reliable. Again, when you have a directory, you want the information to be authentic so that people can rely on it. People swear by book. Oh, I saw it in the booksellers directory, so it must be correct. So that is what done. So I will quickly go to the data section itself, which we have in the present form, pages 10 to 210, where we have the book itself. And again, I'll just be giving a skeletal thing about the book. For ease of referencing, the directory is organized in an alphabetical order, encompassing 31 of Nigeria, 36 states. You will ask, what happened to other states? So we have 31 states and the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, Abuja. I want to reveal to you or disclose that no data was received from Adamawa, Kebbi, Jigawa, Yobe, and Zamfara states. Again, this is one of the reasons we are presenting this, so that booksellers in those states will also come forward and give their information. And some of us who are members of the association, who have friends in those states, can also let them know that something is coming out, because immediately it comes out, people will be asking, why is my firm, why is it not included? But again, it's a function of who comes forward to release the information when this thing is being done. The idea behind this is to make it easy for users of the directory to quickly identify, locate, and where necessary, reach any of the organizations that are listed therein with as much ease as is possible. Most of the time, you can't get it wrong when you go alphabetical. For instance, the president of BAN, who is actually the brain behind this thing, as his bookshop as CSF Bookshop, where he works. And then one would have thought that, okay, CSF Bookshop should be listed as number one when you come to Lagos or Nigeria. They will be established in 1869. But because you want to give information that will be easily mined and easily referenced, we are going alphabetically. So, and that's what has been done here. The directory listed the booksellers in alphabetical order as they are found in major towns or cities in each state. This is followed by a contact data section listing each booksellers. What is done here is that you first of all see the states. You will list all the booksellers according to town. For instance, when you get to Abia State, you now see Aba, and then you look at the booksellers are listed first to see them at a glance, and thereafter you go and see another section where the contact details are. What do we have in the contact section? We have the location address, which is quite important, telephone numbers, email address, website, which has become so important in today's implying one straight. Without the website, you are nowhere. So website, contact person, and year of establishment. I want to say that this information, these pieces of information that were solicited from players were not really obtained in this way I've mentioned, and some did not submit their website address, where they don't have. some email address maybe is not there. So this also shows us that as booksellers, we now have to wake up and do the right thing, because unless some of these pieces of information are in the directory, people will not be able to do business with us. So, so we are using this medium also to say that before this publication goes to press, members who still have gaps to fill, they should quickly react to this so that they can have it done. Again, when the book is published, then that when you see that, why didn't I supply this? Hey, what really happened? So we must guard against that. Thus, in each state, users first come in contact with a list of booksellers and thereafter see the details of the sellers. It must be stressed that data in some states are richer and more robust than in some other states. This is a function of the responses obtained when the data collection exercise was on. For instance, while Abia State featured booksellers in just 2 towns or cities, Aba and Umuahia, and then we have a total of 6 booksellers. Akwa Ibom State has booksellers in 6 towns and cities, in Nabak, Eket, Etinam, Ikot Ekpene, Nupat Enin, and Uyo, all have 39 booksellers. Can you see in Abia State, there are 2 towns that were featured, and they have 86 booksellers. But in Akwa Ibom, where you have booksellers featured in 6 towns or cities, we only have 39 booksellers. Whereas Lagos featured booksellers in 31 locations with 215 booksellers. In fact, the highest in the country. Is even more than that because the information is still being beefed up. But in all, it will be admitted that data in the directory is not exhaustive, as you could have, if you have followed what I said now. As earlier mentioned, the data covered only 31 states and Federal Capital Territory. But it's emphasized that before the publication goes to press, some data will be obtained from the remaining 5 states. Again, one of the reasons for this presentation is to alert booksellers in those states to get enlisted in directory before production. This is because it is inconceivable that there are no booksellers in Adamawa, Kebbi, Jigawa, Yobe, and Zamfara. I will stop here for the test, the test because of time. Then let me go to the end matters. I mentioned that this directive follows the standard book publishing format with the preliminary matters, the test itself, and then the end matters. The end matters here featured 4 appendices. We have the appendix 1, where we have the comparison of the number of bookshops or booksellers in Nigeria in 2005 and 2020. Then appendix 2 featured universities in Nigeria. Then appendix 2 brought out the tourist attractions in Nigeria. And appendix 4, Nigerian Publishers Association, a list of member firms. I will quickly go through this in a few minutes, and then I will be rounding up. Appendix 1, which I mentioned, we set out a comparison of poll of bookshops in Nigeria between 2005 and 2020. It's an interesting section. As usual, can see how book selling has grown in Nigeria from 2005 to 2020. Again, you find that in Abia, for instance, in 2005, there were 71 booksellers. And in 2020, it's 86. The growth is not actually so robust, but at least, as I said, this gives us something to think about. How do we grow this industry as booksellers? Akwa Ibom State has 32 booksellers in 2005, but today it is 39. So that means that between 2005 and 2020, that span of time, we only have 7 booksellers added. So is bookselling dying in Nigeria, or is it growing? And then it goes on like that. And we have in the state, Gombe State actually has 1 in 2005. Now, again, has 1 right now. Again, I don't think that's exhaustive enough. There will be some other booksellers who have not come forward to give their information. And of course, Kebbi had 1 in 2005, but today, 2020, doesn't have any. Is that possible? Those are the questions we need to. So we will see from 1 in Gombe, and then we have something like 7, 19 or more than that in Lagos State. Now, we are talking about 4,000 booksellers in Nigeria as of today, whereas in 2005, we had 3,007. The president was talking about having something to contribute to the economy at that time. These are the kind of data that the government will require when you want to push on policy about in the industry. So it is important that booksellers will come forward and give more information before this publication goes to press. Appendix 2 is a list of universities in Nigeria, broken down to federal, states, and private universities. We know that important because booksellers deal with government in bidding processes and so on. So, and also the universities, how to sell to them and their location and everything is also there. Then there's highlights of tourist attractions in Nigeria. This will be very important to our foreign counterparts who will be interested in doing business. This piece of information are given as additions to make the book robust and to make the book more usable and more being a very good reference material. You agree with me that this piece of information are invaluable to both local and foreign users. The list of universities in Nigeria will be particularly useful to members of BAN and some other ones as well. Of course, the list of MPA2 is a very good one. The Member Firms of Publishers Association, which is a sister association to BAN. To round up this presentation, it is important to highlight the benefits of this directory to the industry. Okay, you are publishing a book as an association. What is the benefit to the industry? What's just have a directory and then it's there. One, to every stakeholder in the industry, this directory will be important. And I just want to bring out just a few. I have a quite a number here. Self-published authors can use the directory to locate and contact authentic booksellers to distribute or sell their publications. This will put to rest the perennial allegation that all booksellers are fraudulent. Most authors will say that, well, booksellers they don't pay. They just take the book and spend the money. But when we have a directory, I'm sure that members that are listed will be quite cautious and use a lot of discretion when they want to do business with authors. So authors can go and see who are the authentic, and they can also call. They can call the executive members to find out this. Second, publishers can use the directory as a tool to choose reliable booksellers to spread their publications across the country. Okay, in Gombe, in Kebbi, in Nasarawa, in Jigawa, in Osun, and so on, we don't have reps, but we can actually get our bookshop into this reputable bookshop in Osun State, in Jigawa State, and so on. So it is important for the industry. Of course, the public, the customers themselves, can relate with authentic booksellers and shun pirates and pirated books. So I'm sure that the people that the booksellers that are listed here will not be among pirates. And of course, foreign publishers or suppliers have a tool to use to locate and deal directly with reputable booksellers, giving booksellers leverage on foreign transactions and foreign earnings. Today, if anybody is coming to a country to start a business for investment, you want to look at some data. You want to look at people behind it. So this directory will solve that, will be helpful in that wise. Again, some features of the publication, such as the list of universities, will help booksellers from running from pillar to post in sourcing information on tertiary institutions for their business. And of course, the directory equally confers prestige and visibility on BAN. Oh, this BAN is has come of age. So there's something there. So it confers on prestige And in fact, government can actually ask for this directory. Universities can ask for the directory, see who are the authentic booksellers to deal with when they have to acquire or to acquire books. The last one is that investors can make use of the directory to locate where they can cite bookstores. Even amongst the booksellers that we have now, they can, with this directory, can give them the idea, okay, so in New York, in Akwa Ibom, it's only 39 something. Can't I have another bookstore somewhere? In Kaduna, they don't really have, in Gombe. So why is it that they don't have? Is it that there's no schools? Okay, let me go there and start something. So this will provide, this will give investors, whether foreign or even the local people here. In conclusion, it can be said that BAN has done well to conceive the vision of putting together this directory. I commend the publication to every user everywhere. As I said, in the next few weeks, we should have a physical copies of this directory. We are still asking, we want to, are looking forward to more booksellers to supply information so that we can cover those 5 states that are left out now. As I said, it will be inconceivable that those states don't have a bookseller. So I will stop here now for my own part of this presentation. Thank you so much for listening.
Moderator. Moderator, unmute yourself.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adeshino Adebola,
Thank
for
you.
an in-depth review of the forthcoming Nigerian Booksellers Directory 4. I wasn't so sure that we were so involved in this project, and it is now so conversant to me that there is so much job that the people have done so far.
Thank you.
And the other angle now, Mr. Richard Mama, it is worrying, a bit curious to know that some 5 states are not represented, but with this virtual program, people will get to know. And I'm sure that as we continue the discussions, more people to the inclusion of these remaining states, such that at the end of the day, what we have will be an exhaustive document, will be widely accepted, and will give us a better image. So without saying much, I want to welcome Mr. Richard Mama to take over the floor. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Honorable General Secretary, thank you for welcoming me. And I think I should also stand on existing protocols and appreciate the executive of the association for the great work that it has done and continues to do. The truth about it is that we have associations, the one the Germans will call Verband, and associations of this nature, you know, do carry out very interesting and important roles in the ecosystem in which they operate, the economic ecosystems in which they operate. And for the book sector, the Association for Booksellers, the BAN, has been doing quite some work, and I want to say that we also expect that going forward there will still be much more to do. Having made that point, I also want to note that 90% of the work has been done by Mr. Adeshino, and as such, you know, my task has become quite easy, but I will try and address a number of the issues which I think would reinforce the core points that he has already made. Talking in general terms, I think it's important for us to know that the expression data is king, is a very important one. Data, information, you want to go to a destination and you don't have information about how to get there or, which paths, to take. It's important that you get enough and adequate data to guide the processes, to guide what you want to do and the outcomes of what you want to carry out. So I think it's very, very important that an exercise of this nature is being conducted so that we can know how many book, marketers, how many booksellers are in this industry, are in this country. Now, we also do have a number of concerns, and I think those arose in the course of gathering data for this project. You go to certain points, certain towns, certain markets, and you find a title that says bookshop. And then you move inside and you find out that they have a number of stationaries on offer, but there is no bookshop, or there are no books, in the sense of the word. One of the things which we try to do here in the course of gathering data here was to do a whole lot of cross-verification. If you say you have a bookshop, we want to see some evidence that there is a bookshop, reputational evidence, and also evidence in the form of output and involvement. We were conscious to ensure that we do not accommodate organizations that we cannot verify and confirm in real time, that is at the time of conducting this research. For example, there were organizations in the previous directory that was conducted 1.5 decades ago that was put together, and then we attempted reaching some of those organizations and found out, confirmed, that some of those organizations are no more existing. There were organizations that we had their names and we could not verify whether they were presently in business. We had quite some interesting inputs from Abuja, for example, where we had one of our field researchers go around, after we had gathered data from the internet and from other secondary sources, we now had a field researcher go around to verify, we did a statistical, double check. And he came out with a response that about 20% of the shops that were listed, some of them still had a web presence, where some still had telephone, were no more active in the business. Meanwhile, he also found out that, and we also found out and confirmed that in the course of that period also, several other organizations that had not begun to exist as at the time the previous survey was conducted have already come into the market and were already, doing business and continuing to do business, in that sense. For example, we had Robin Heights as one of our facilitators in the session, that we had in the morning. Robin Heights was not in the previous, publication because it had not been founded at about the time that publication was, being done. But it's now an active organization in the book trade. And so it's in this edition. Meanwhile, it was not in the previous edition simply because its time had not come, at that time. So we have some of those interesting situations. We also have organizations that had, we say, multiple business holdings across the country, but who out of economic exigencies have had to adjust. So an organization that had, say, 15, 20, retail outlets countrywide, are now having about 6 or 7. on account of the economics of the business in itself, sustainability issues, and the necessary adjustment issues, in a sense. So we have to accommodate these in the course of time. And that's why it's important for us to make this point, which I'm getting into now, that going forward, and because of the fact that economics is an active social, and a living science, in several respects, it would be necessary to continue that for the association and indeed for researchers to continue to commit to a continuous process of updating data that has been gathered in this directory, and indeed for all the other associations. For example, we got information from the booksellers. We got some information from authors. We got some information from librarians. Now, at the end of the day, we have to take decisions on what to accommodate and what not to accommodate, and in whichever forms and in what forms it should not be. Ultimately, the decision was that we should emphasize booksellers and let the directory focus on it. We still have subsidiary information which will be made available to the book trade in different formats and frames. But it's also important for every organization in the book trade, and indeed for all practitioners and researchers in the book trade, to keep noting that adjustments would come now and again, which have to be taken into consideration. So if we are talking of 3,500 to 4,000, semi-active booksellers in the country today, in another 3 years, what will be the situation? By the end of the COVID era, for example, what will be the situation? Because we know that even as developments are unfolding, it is important to recognize and appreciate that. Mr. Additional also mentioned another point which I think I should also reinforce, which has to do with the fact, and I think the president had also mentioned it, and it's also in the introductory segment. It has to do with negotiations, bargaining, and advocacy. I think Kevin also made the point. An association is a representative union of sorts for its members. And so it must continue to make the point that its members, are, relevant to the economic superstructure of the country. Now, to do that, we need information. And they kind of need different parts. Let me break it down to, let me talk about 3 parts. One of the parts is the one which we have already touched on, which is how many members or how many people are involved, how many bookshops can we find in the country? Now, we're working with estimates of 3,500, 4,000 at the moment. As has been noted, at the end of this exercise, it is hooked, because that's what the arrangement is. The sketch of the data that we have created this far will be published in a format that will be made available to members of BAN and those who are accommodated in the BAN information outlets, so that they can double check their information for accuracy, for veracity. If you have changed a telephone number or if you have added a website number, you can bring it in, to the picture, so bring to our attention so that it will be added before the final published edition and the final e-edition will come out. But another reason why that is being done is also because we think that it is important that some of the states, the 5 states that have not been accommodated, currently, and even the states that have been accommodated but which have representative presence in other towns within those states, and even where there are other bookshops existing that have not been captured, we think they should get a fairer chance. So for something like another 2 weeks, after this event, the idea is that members will find information on how to contact this, to connect with this preliminary view of data so that we can build on with it. I think it's also important for us to note that when it comes to issues of advocacy and negotiations, it's important for us to note that we need to have enough information about what the commercial and economic strength of our trade, of the book trade, and indeed of the book selling in the country is. For example, part of the information we sent out was for organizations to indicate what their annual turnover was. We did not get too much information, too much response on that, understandably because we still do have a cultural environment where some information is not quick, to be published. But we think that the other side of the story would be for those who did not volunteer such information to get back to the band executive and say, hey, I did not give this information, but this is it, so that you can use it in your computation process. Because I think it's important for us to be able to put a figure to what the net worth of the book selling business in Nigeria is. So we're going to have issues as it has to do with numbers, and we're going to have issues as it has to do with volume and value that is being communicated. Okay. Now, one other point which I think is important, to be made, even at this point, is the fact that when you undertake an exercise of this nature, we've got to think in terms of what we can get in the area of, business growth. Now, this is the book trade as it is today. And we are also caught in the new normal situation where there are adjustments here and there. But what would be the fate and the fortune of the book trade in another 5 years? These are some of the issues we need to begin to interrogate. And part of what would help us would be for us to have data. When we have data and progressive data, that is updated and adjusted and improved upon year after year, we're in a better position to say if this has been the trend over the past 5 years, over the past 3 years, over the past 10 years, these are some of the projections we can make going forward. An industry as the book selling industry has to work with more and more data, and our humble effort in putting out this directory and in asking us to contribute to the process of fine-tuning what we have done this far, right, would be in that direction so that we can participate in updating data. And the hope is that we will not just have a print edition of this directory. Going forward, we will also have an e-version that will also continue to update as the days, months and years go by. So I think it's important for us to contribute as much as we can, ask all the questions that we think we need, get all the clarifications that we think are helpful, but take this content that is being presented. We have over 200, going on 250, 300 pages already that we have collated, but we think that there is still space for some more. And we think that some of that information that will help in populating the rest of the content that we have is in your hands and in the hands of your neighbors. So just as has been said, we would expect and encourage that you pass the word out to those who have not gotten it and tell them that, hey, this project is on and we are building on. One final point I will make. In the course of gathering data, there were some interesting experiences. There were some contact numbers, contact information that we were able to get, and we spoke to such persons. And some were, okay, we'll get back to you, we'll give you the information, but we did not get some of that information even as at this time. Now, what we have done has been to give the benefit of doubt. If anyone acknowledges that is still in the book trade, such information is still, put in there. But if there is anyone that says, no, I used to run a bookshop, but I don't run it anymore. Or I know someone who runs a bookshop. I'll get the information for you. Those are some of the things that we need to check and verify. We hope that with your help and with your input, we'll be able to get something as neat, as strong and as possible, so that we can build on it and go forward. Mr. Moderator, I think these are some of the things I want to say now. If we get to questions and there are any other things that need to be added, I think between myself and Mr. Additional, we can take them in the mix. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Richard Mama. You have presented this case as a true journalist. I have seen the perspective that you have carried it, and I have seen the language that you have delivered it. I know what you are doing is like gathering news. You are on the field as a correspondent. It's a great job you are doing, and really appreciate your efforts this far. I'm particularly impressed by your delivery in terms of advocacy with regards to this Nigerian Booksellers Directory. And you mentioned about the impact it could make on governments, the relevance of the association of the directory on the economic superstructure of the country, and business growth generally for the dealers, our influence in the system to be able to negotiate with the government agencies, to be able to partake in whatever largesse will come out from this. And if we're able to do this very well, which I hope we are getting there, it will be for the benefit of all the players in the industry. So I join hands to call on members to come up with information, come up with data, especially members around their areas, their states of where they're operating, and even these other 5 states that have not been accommodated so far. We thank God that there is a window still open for more people to come in. So at this juncture, I want to call for questions from viewers, from those who are listening to us, so that these 2 great presenters will be able to do justice to these questions. And in fact, the questions that we need now will be so vital, because we are not everywhere to know where the shoes are pinching, but there could be some vital issues that are raised on this platform today, and that will come up for serious discussions, and solutions could be proffered right away. So I will pull back and give room for questions.
I've got a question.
Yeah, Kevin.
Mr. Kevin, please go on with your question. Hello, Mr. Kevin.
Yeah.
Kevin, unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I mean, the question I have really is that the directory you have, comprising about 4,000 booksellers, or 3,500, they are the booksellers in the country. But in terms of your membership, perhaps very few of those booksellers have actually paid, and so it would be quite difficult for you as an association to represent those 4,000, because they haven't necessarily paid. You don't know what their views are. Whereas most associations in America or Britain or Germany or other places, you can only be a member of the association and be listed in the directory if you actually pay the membership. And that's really the question I want to ask you, really. And for instance, how do you know of those, and how does an overseas bookseller also know if those members haven't been vetted, whether those booksellers are parents or not? because, and that's a big question for overseas people, overseas suppliers. They want to supply booksellers who are reliable and have been vetted. So the membership of the association, whether they pay and whether they've been vetted, and therefore whether they're in the directory, is very important. And I wonder if in this directory you could differentiate between those who are paying and vetted members and those who are just booksellers.
Thank you, Mr. Kelvin. That is a good one. It's not just about the compilations and the names. He wants to be sure, are these people members? Are they fee-paying members? Are they reliable? Are they known by the association? I think we have to leave these questions for the panelists to address while we make contributions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Etoma.
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Etoma.
Yes, please, can you address
Yes.
the question? Okay.
Yes, I think Mr. The bank president should address that question.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. We, like the presenters, Mr. Addition and Mr. Mama alluded to in their presentations, this project is one of goals when we came in. You know, though we had a directory before, which was published in 2005, but you know, 2005 to this to now is quite a distance. If you want to have something exhaustive and you are asking people to pay, we know the responses we are going to get. So for this edition, we are not asking members to pay. We want to even know those that are selling books. Mr. Mama said the other time, as you are passing through a street, you see bookshops written on a shop. You go in, you don't see any books. You only see stationaries, and they call it bookshop. Those are not bookshops. So if you ask them to come up, they will say they are booksellers. Those are not booksellers. You know? So those that we are listing are at least those that have something to do with books. So if we know them, then we can start talking to them. Then we can start telling them this is what it takes to be a bookseller. We all know, especially in Nigeria, that you cannot belong to the pepper grinding you cannot grind pepper in the street of Lagos or anywhere for that matter without belonging to the association. They will take your machine and seize it, and you will not get. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't go to the police station. If you go, they will still win. You cannot be a pharmacist in this country. You cannot sell drugs and say you open a shop and you are selling Panadol. You put there maybe I don't know, whatever name you put, and they enter there and you are selling Panadol. You will be arrested. You will be prosecuted. You can be jailed. If you are a tailor in Nigeria, you can't open a shop and you put your machine there and you don't belong to the association. You cannot operate. Some of these I've mentioned, some of them are not literate. So we that say we are selling books that give information to other industries, to other professionals, we are not operating the way we should operate. So this is what we want to do. We are building the association, or probably let me use the word rebuilding. So when we know our members, we now be able to say, okay, do you want to belong in or you want to belong out? If you don't want to belong in or you want to belong in, these are the criteria. If you don't meet these criteria, you cannot be a bookseller. And then we state these are the benefits if you are a bookseller. if you're a bookseller. So you know what you will get if you're a bookseller. If you know if you come, and then these are the criteria you have to meet. So you also know. I'm sure anybody that is a chartered accountant in Nigeria joyfully want to belong to to ICANN joyfully. So if you're a bookseller, you must also be happy, be proud to belong to the Bookseller Association. So for now, to answer the question, we are not charging. We are just, this is the first edition. By the time we are doing the next edition, they will have seen, members will have seen the advantages, and then they will know whether they want to belong in or to stay out of the industry. When we were going around, I was in Port Harcourt, I speak with booksellers, I listened to their comments. Some of them were even saying, we are tired about this industry, we want to go and do something else, because then nobody was fighting for their interest. But now we are ready to fight for interest of members. So members will be proud to belong to the association. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Moderator, can I just make a point?
Okay, go on, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Kelvin, I think that's quite a thoughtful question. I think it touches on some of the issues that have been raised in the course of the sessions, you know, starting from the beginning of the fair, even on issues of integrity, you know, and in that sense. I think it's important that organizations and those who do business with us, you know, as booksellers in this case, should be able to have some comfort that, yes, this is how it is. But I think that the way to address some of those concerns, you know, BAN has an executive, it has email contacts, it has website contacts, and all that data is going to be in the directory. Now, I know that there are issues of verification. BAN makes the point and has made the point again that our members are our members. But what this directory is about is to give us an idea, practitioners in the book selling, you know, subsector. So it's being listed here does not confer membership. What it just does is to say that these are the practitioners, these are the people that are engaged in the business at this time. And so I think that some of that will be accommodated in the course of, you know, guiding readers even as they come into the world of the directory. But I think that there are field conditions, just like the president said, that make it very difficult to have prepaid, you know, systems work. More so when you are trying to build involvement, you know, and energize systems that may not be working at full capacity under different circumstances. The other point which we will find in the directory would also have to do with the statistics of those who are engaged in the book business. A number of the bookshops that we went to and that we contacted have reported their staff numbers. They don't have, you know, very large staff numbers, which also comes back to the question of the economic potentials. You know, so I think it's working on it from a developmental phase and say, let's get everybody in first. And then as we keep going, we'll be expanding, building capacity and going on. But if anyone wants to ask questions about any bookseller or the other, of course, the caveat is always there. Contact the BAN executive and you will get the answers. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mama. Hello?
Yes, please.
Okay. I want to say, from what the president said, that we are building. That was a key word when he spoke. He said we are building an association, at least for now, and we are collecting data that will help us to come up with a reliable information that will be usable by governments, by business interests surrounding the book trade. And as you have rightly pointed out, it's an enlistment. The directory is a list. It does not confer membership on those on that list. Going forward, we shall be coming up with a proper, more authentic, more comprehensive, more reliable directory. But at this juncture, the effort we are putting so far will give us information about people who are involved in the book trade and who would want to come in fully to do the book business. So I still want to pause a little bit and wait for more questions. And I wish that these answers have addressed the questions raised by Mr. Kevin. But I believe that there are people who might want to throw in some more, one or two questions while we go forward. Thank you.
Mr. Olaita is raising his hand.
And after Mr. Light, I also want to contribute.
Can I proceed? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Gracious.
Yes.
Okay, you can go on, Mr. Lighton.
Can I go on? Okay, fine. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And it's nice. I hope I'm stable enough. I want to once again congratulate our association and sincerely appreciate the president. I'm not surprised. I have a publication here as far back as 1998, which he was involved in, titled Directory of Nigeria Book Development, which was done, late Chukwemeka Ike was the editor. So I'm not surprised. But my quick comment would just be this, and is one, I intend to address part of what Kelvin asked, and which I think is fundamental. And one, I want to kind of find out what is the market, the target market for this directory. I'm sure we probably have, I hope I'm not answering the question. Let me just leave it like that. What is the target market? That's number one. Number two, I wanted to quickly just respond to what Kelvin said. And I guess that what his question is quite fundamental. And I think it's something we need to address. And what came to me straight away is that, okay, fine. Why don't we make the print for almost everybody, like it's been said, while we take only the financial members on the website. I know very well that these days, the website will probably be a better place to keep the authentic booksellers. And when I say the authentic booksellers, that will be the financial members. That will be able to kind of separate between the stationery sellers and the booksellers. And then we can have people who ordinarily should be called the booksellers on the website. And then that also allows, it also gives an opportunity, because if I wasn't there before, and part of what you are selling to me as members benefits is the fact that I'm going to be listed on the directory of members, that should be a good one enough for me. And when you put it on the website, it is worldwide, everywhere. Details can be updated even within 1 month of if there's any change one way or the other. I want to recommend this to us. On the issue of financials, knowing the environment that we are in at this point in time, we may want to kind of lie low on that. I am prepared, let me say this for myself, I am prepared to volunteer my financials because it does not make any difference. I'm talking in terms of turnover now, as was mentioned. So I want to suggest that that is kept in abeyance for now. One more thing I also want to mention here is, please, as we publish this, and I was going to mention that as Kelvin spoke about 3 days ago, that let's consider getting adverts for the publications to kind of reduce the overall cost of the publications. I'm sure some publishers and so within and without might want to do adverts. So let's take a look at that. I was also going to kind of suggest that, look, we, even on the website, I went onto the website for the first time a few days ago. Very unfortunate enough. But I think we should be able to get advert for the website and find a way of making sure that people get onto the website from time to time, because I will only advertise if I know that there is traffic on the website. Because if there's no traffic, I wouldn't be there. That for now, I guess, is my little contribution. Well, one of the things that the president said, which I want to comment upon, was the fact that, okay, yeah, when the issue of ICANN and others, I'm sorry, I'm particularly responding to the issue of ICANN. You see, beyond the fact, and the pharmacists too, beyond the fact that people want to be called a chartered accountant, or you want to be called a pharmacist, but there's also a regulatory framework that guides that. So that makes it difficult for just anybody to call himself a pharmacist or an accountant. That is what drives it. And the market also will also not just take anybody. And that's exactly what I think what some of the things that we are doing now will take us to. What we are doing now, when we have a code of conduct and we have certain things that guide us, that guides membership, and people know that very well, oh, if I want to buy from a foreign publisher, or if I want to approach even a Nigerian publisher, such question will be asked. Are you a member of Booksellers Association of Nigeria? I'm sure that will push people to join us. And that also will give us opportunity to be able to kind of control the conduct of people, what people do and what they don't do. Thank you so much once again for a job well done. I listened to Mr. Adeshina and Mr. Mama, and I was shaking my head that, look, some people are seriously working behind the scene. God bless you all. I'll stop here for now.
Thank you, Mr. Olaiton.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
the professor wanted to say something.
Yes. First of all, I stand on the existing protocol, and most of the thing I actually wanted to say, Mr. Olaiton had said it. Basically, I'm using this medium also to appreciate the executives and for this wonderful job they have done. Mr. Olaiton had actually said most of those things, because one of the major things is, which I just want to add to what he had said and what the band president had also said in relating to Kevin's question. It just has to do with the issue of advocacy, which Mr. Richard Mama had said. And if you could recall, that was exactly what I said a day or 2 days ago when I was talking about everybody calling themselves booksellers or bookshops. When they get in there, they don't find books there. And then just also to, I mean, Mr. Light had actually said everything. The code of conduct, the control, and has to be put in place, which the bank president also emphasized. Because I said it earlier on, or maybe 2 days ago, about that what we are doing in terms of our business is very technical, if you may recall. And if we put those things in place, it will be easy for us. I'm just adding to what Mr. Lighton said in terms of, for instance, right now, it will be easy for us to do business with other foreign publishers. For instance, if they want to make any references or want to ask 1 or 2 questions about a particular company in terms of either publish or book selling, they can quickly ask from BAN, do you know this particular company? Can we do business with this particular company? They will be able to give recommendation. More also, then the government also will be able to listen to us. Like he said, I mean, I'm talking of Mr. Uluwatu, he said, every organization that wants to make progress, there must be unity. We have to put our house in order. And by putting a house in order, the government can listen to us. For instance, right now, a lot of us have want to expand our business. And when you go into any of the financial institutions, they're not ready to answer you. If we can build up ourselves by this putting our heads together, like, I mean, we have said earlier on about financial members, serious membership, then even if you want to approach a bank for 1 or 2 things, the question they will ask you is, are you a member of Booksellers Association? Yes. Okay, can we have your reference? So it makes things easy for us, even in terms of, for instance, I think it has been happening before. Even I don't know whether it's still happening up to now. If you want to import books, the Nigerian Standard Organization will also, and National NCC, National Copyright Control, will definitely be asked, are you a member of Booksellers Association? What is your BAN number? These are some of the things I think we have to really, I mean, I know we are working on it, but the earlier we do it, the better for us. So that at least we will have a say in whatever they're doing in this particular country. Because right now, a lot of people, Nigerian Publishers Association, I think they're well recognized by the government. And that's one of the reasons why most especially when we go to institutions, even librarians, unlike before when we started this particular business, we're actually giving a place, we're actually giving a kind of a respect, you know. But even when we go for this Nigerian Library Association conference to do, I mean, for book fairs, I mean, for book exhibition, the way we are being treated is because our houses are not in order. Those are some of the things that we have to put together so that that past glory must be restored. Thank you very much. God bless you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Ayo. Moderator, can I
You're welcome,
make a
sir.
contribution? Moderator?
Go on, sir. Go on, sir.
All right. Let me respond to some of the questions or issues that have been raised, really from Mr. Kola Lighton. He asked, what is the market
target? Market.
What is the target market for this
publication?
As we said earlier on, we are not charging members listed on this directory. However, we have in mind the market segments that I want to address. One, members who are worthy to be called booksellers actually should be proud to have a copy of this directory. We go for international exhibition year in, year out. Sometimes we go for 2, 3, 4 across the globe. These members, publishers from these countries will also be happy to have a copy of this. Though, like we said earlier on, this does not validate any name on the list. But at least these publishers can have a contact that they can refer to
in 30 minutes, I'll be through.
And confirm whether this person or this company is reliable or not. I'm aware that publishers from the UK, before they can give you credit, they want to get referrals from probably 2, 3 other projects that you have been dealing with, you have been doing business with. What if you are coming for the first time and you have not been doing business with any publishers? So where do you get referrals? They can turn back and say, okay, Business Association of Nigeria, do you know this person? Do you know this company? Can you vouch for this company? And if it's a company that we can vouch for, we'll do a letter to say, yes, we know, and this company will honor whatever agreement you enter into with him or her. We also, members, now when they are traveling, maybe they are traveling for the first time, they want to go to embassy and all that. They can also say they are a member of Business Association of Nigeria, and they can make reference to the directory. If they are actual members, we can also give them letter to back up their application to the embassy for visa approval. Locally, we have the publishers. One of the bone of contention and disagreement between booksellers and publishers are because many booksellers owes them a lot. They give them credit, they don't honor it. Apart from that, they also accuse us of piracy, but that's neither here nor there. Now that we are coming together, we are already speaking and discussing with the publisher, with the Nigerian Publisher Association, that going forward, they will not be dealing with just any booksellers again without accreditation from the Secretariat of BAN. And what that means is that you then have to be an authentic bookseller, not just one man some here or one woman some there. So when this is done, there will be seriousness within the organization, within the association. We are also, if you do that with local, we have said we also do that with the foreign publishers. We are doing businesses with the tertiary institutions. We are doing businesses with state universal basic education. We are also doing businesses with the universal basic education at the federal level. We are going to relate with this organization to let them know that we are existing and that our members are doing business with you or want to be doing business with you. We can accredit any member that want to do business with you. I was at the Federal Minister of Education early this year, and I won't mention university, and I met a VC. It's a woman. She was just appointed maybe about a month or two to that time. And the SA to the minister introduced me to her. And I brought out my card I gave to her, President Bussela Association of Nigeria. You look at it, I said, Bussela Association of Nigeria? She said, I'm hearing this for the first time. No, you won't blame her because she's just coming into the VC arena. But even many VCs that have been VC for years, they don't know that Bussela Association of Nigeria exists, you know. So just before, late last year, a university in the north wanted to advertise for tender. one of us who is close to that university, got in touch with me and were able to get the university to include as one of their requirements that you must be a member of Books Association of Nigeria to qualify to apply for that to that tender. And it was put there, it was advertised. In fact, that alone made a number of members who have not been financially up to date to regularize their membership quickly because they want to participate in that tender. So we are going to do this with all the other tertiary institutions. By the time we do that, you know that there is seriousness within the association. So these are some of the markets that we are looking at. There will be advertisement opportunities in the directory. In fact, some people have already indicated interest. So, and I'm sure the presenter will still mention that if they have not mentioned, but I expect that they will still mention that there are advertisement opportunities in the directory, both locally and foreign advert will take into it, so that will, like Mr. Lighton suggested, will enable us to at least defray some of the costs we have on this we are incurring on the project. So let me stop there. In terms of regulation, well, that's a long way to go. We cannot be talking of ICANN and be comparing ourselves with ICANN or PSN, that Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria. But we are starting from somewhere. By the time we put our house in order, we can start putting all this in places gradually, and then we can get there in no distant future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think we still have some more questions coming in. So please just raise your hand. I don't know if Mr. Robert wants to say something. So the floor is open for you, sir. Thank you. Make your contributions, please.
Thank you, moderator, and good evening once again to everyone. I've been following with keen interest. I don't have a question per se, but I just recollect one of our ESCO meetings where I had mentioned that at the time, you know, for my company, Latana Ventures, we into importation. Okay, at the time when I had approached the Standards Organization of Nigeria's office in Lekki for import permit, you know, as a bookseller and all of that, the question came up. The Director General then asked that, Booksellers Association of Nigeria, well, we know the Publishers Association. Do you have a list of your members, you know? So the ongoing work by the president and all the other team members compiling this directory would address to a reasonable extent that requirement, that request from statutory bodies and government authorities, so to speak. So that's another benefit, I think, of this directory, because at some point we will be able, though you have mentioned, Mr. Moderator, and even the president re-emphasized that it does not outrightly validate membership. But at some point, by the time this is complete and fully compiled, we'll be able to present something at any time and wherever we go as members of the Booksellers Association. So I think it's a very laudable project, and I commend the team once again. Thank you.
Thank you. Moderator, let me just add to what Mr. Lawson just said. The Nigerian Copyright Commission has been doing a lot in recent years, in the last 2-3 years. We have been discussing with the DG, the challenges we are also having, along with the Publishers Association of Nigeria. So we are putting some measures in place that we ensure that within a year or two, that if you are not a member of this association, you cannot operate a bookshop. The NCC is coming up with some guidelines, you know, and then we know that to require legislative backing, whatever, but in a way, the NCC is coming up with certain guidelines. You also know that many schools, especially secondary schools, primary schools, also are operating bookshops within the confine of their school, which is illegal. They are not registered to do book selling, but we see that they are now doing that. In fact, some of them, when publishers supply them books, they tell the publisher, please, if I'm buying this XY title, you cannot supply any other bookshop or schools, even within my vicinity. And these are some of the things that are being placed. So all that we are looking at, if you are running a school, yeah, you can. If you want to be if you want to run the bookshop, fine, nobody is stopping you, but you have to register a company that is doing book selling, and then you also have to be a member of the Booksellers Association of Nigeria. Period. If you are not, then you cannot be operating a school, and also within your school have a store, and then you are selling books to students. That is illegal. Some booksellers are also publishers. If you are a publisher, many booksellers are publishers, also registered with the Publishers Association of Nigeria. There's any part in that. So if you're also a publisher and you also want to operate a bookshop, then you must also register with the Booksellers Association of Nigeria. Nothing stop. You can have 2, 3, 4, 5 subsidiaries, no problem. But register with each of the association that is doing business. Some of us have a printing press, we have bookshop, we're also publishers, but ensure that you belong to the 3, and that will be fine. We have a few questions on the chat room. Somebody is asking,
membership. How do we take membership?
How do we register as members?
Where can we? Okay, register as member. Yes. Send us. Well, you can contact. We have a website, and you can send an email or a message to this chat room. We'll respond to. Somebody has sent something, and I've responded to the fellow. But if you still have, just send something, put your phone number there, and I will respond to you. Somebody also asking, where can we get the directory to purchase? Well, it's not out yet. It's still in progress. As soon as you have it, you have information on our website, and then you will be able to buy from any bookshop anyway. Any of the reputable bookshop you'll be able to buy across the country. I hope. Okay, the issue of turnover that Mr. Kola didn't say, yeah, your point is understood. What we are saying is that, like, I think it was Mr. Richard Mama that said that members are not forthcoming in volunteering turnover for the year, at least for the last 3 years. Yes, because the way we are in Nigeria, some of us, because of tax and all that, we don't want to put some of our information in the public domain. But any company that actually has audited accounts, annual audited accounts, should be free, because that is really in the public domain. It's only that maybe it's not, you are not advertising, but if you are going to CAC, for instance, and you are updating your registration, you have to provide all these things. We have not made that compulsory for now, but maybe subsequently, when due to orientation and advocacy, people will know why we need this. And if, for instance, out of the about 4,000 members we have, if we have 500 that volunteer, that would be okay. We can use that to juxtapose and then estimate for other remaining at least these are things we just need to do as we go on, if we really want to approach government for any serious favor. Thanks, sir. But the point is noted, sir. We are not making that compulsory for now. Moderator. Moderator.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we're hearing you.
Well, for members that are viewing us, Moderator, we are not hearing you. Our website is www.booksellersociation.ng.com. www.booksellersociation.ng.com. We have that's our website. You can visit and then make a comment and ask question, and you'll be responded to. If you can also, if you want to call in, you can call 080-6320-9018. Again, 080-6320-9018. Your inquiries will be attended to promptly. Thank you. Well, maybe our email also. Our email is info@booksellersassociation.ng.com. info@booksellersassociation.ng.com. So you can also send an email. Thank you. Maybe the presenter may want to give a round-up comment, and then we can round off this segment. Mr. Adeshina.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. President. I think, as we said, we wanted to sensitize the sector about the publication that is in the offing. And members will do well to check for their information when the version that we are going to put out there comes out, so that whatever has changed, whatever is missing, whatever you want to improve, you can do that. And what Mr. Olajuwon said, which has been reinforced by the president, is also important, and that has to do with adverts. So members are enjoined to support this publication where there are adverts. If you have enough adverts, then some of the costs that are being incurred and that will still be incurred can actually be taken care of. And of course, this is our project. In the project association, we should work towards it and make it a reality. And when it comes out, it will be able to patronize what we have. In terms of target market, of course, booksellers. I would expect that all booksellers that are listed to actually have not one copy, but copies of the publication. Publishers too to have authors. Some of them are self-published authors to have. And of course, tertiary institutions as well. If we work closely with universities and some other institutions, there's no reason why they should not have copies of these publications. So I think the ball is in the court of members to actually make this project, to make it a reality. Thank you so much.
Mr. Richard Mama. I want to emphasize more on how members will be able to access the list we have currently, so that they will know whether their names are there or whether they want to update the information we already have. Mr. Mama.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Okay, as I've mentioned, we already have data that has been collated across the country. Now that data is what we are, cleaning up at the moment, and I think that what members should do is to assess the communication channels of the association. There is a website, the address of the website, because it's a book and it's in progress. If we bring the whole book out and say, hey, go to this page and get the information, it could be a kind of disincentive, a marketing disincentive. So what we are doing is we are going to take out the information as it has to do with the addresses. Information as it has to do with the addresses. The addresses segment, that is the contact segment, because we have information that has to do with the number of bookshops, and book selling organizations state by state. But we also have that which has to do with the contact details of the organizations. For example, in a given state, let's say Enugu State, we may have, say, 50 book selling organizations that are identified. But of those 50, just about 12 have contact details. So what we have then now is, by the time we send out the information of those with contact details, every other organization, including those that we already have, in the general segment for the state, will now know that there are gaps that have to be filled. And so they will respond to that without necessarily giving out all the information that we have created. So, because what we are doing now is double checking, cross checking, and updating of data. So we are going to put that out so that you can get it and say, oh no, this telephone number, I'm no more using it, I've changed to this number, and will now reflect that. Or we moved our physical address. A number of organizations actually move physical addresses. We moved from this part of Asokoro to Maitema, or we moved to Ube or one other part of Abuja, for example. So we need that information. So we are going to give the information that we have. So any bookseller that does not find this information or that of his friends or associates should simply get to such people or get their own information and communicate with the email address that is provided on the website where this provisional data is going to be published. Now, for members who are already in BAN, their work is easier because the update is going to come on the WhatsApp platform of the group from time to time. For those who are not, it's a good time to use the contact phone number, send an email, or send, I think at the end of the session, the contact phone numbers and email addresses will be repeated so that you can use the contact phone number and the contact email to get to the association and say, hey, can you add me to the WhatsApp group so that I can get information, on a timely basis about what is going on. And then, of course, for those who cannot get information on any of those areas, they will get further information on the website. So if you are involved, get in touch. If you are not, get in touch. But I think it's important that everybody stays in the house because, as we know, together, organizations grow better. There are group and generic things that are going to help, grow the association and grow the book trade in that business. That will be a win-win proposition for everyone that is involved in it. Mr. President.
Yeah. Mr. President, hello? Hello, can you
Mr.
hear
President.
me? This is on mute now.
Yes. Moderator, please go ahead.
Give close remarks.
Can you hear me now?
We're hearing you. We're hearing you.
Okay. I don't know how many minutes left for us, but I would love to thank the presenters and the responses to the questions that have been put forward. And at this juncture, maybe Mr. President might want to say some few words while we plan to round up this session before the vote of thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Moderator. Well, I've said so much. I would just to say thank you to everyone that have been part of this meeting, especially since Wednesday, our first session, and our great speaker, Mr. Kevin Van Hasselt, who has honored us again with his presence at this meeting. We thank you very much. Let me let the association know that, members know that Mr. Kevin immediately after that great presentation has swung into action and has started taking some steps. I begin to see, can we run at the same speed with Mr. Kevin? But we just have to. We have to. So thank you, Mr. Kevin. I thank all the stakeholders that are around. Thank you all members, and thank to all viewers across the world that are listening to this session and our previous session. We promise you a better outing next time. We thank the Nigerian Book Fair Trust, who has also made this happen, especially the president, Mr. Adedapo Badega. Thank you, and we also congratulate you and members of the planning team for a job well done. Next time, surely will be better. Thank you very much to everyone.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, we'd like to have the, okay.
All right. Thank you very much, the Booksellers Association of Nigeria, for that beautiful presentation. We sincerely appreciate all our participants worldwide for this eventful program. And it's a wrap for today. We appreciate everybody that has connected, both far and wide. Please note that tomorrow's program continues by 10 a.m. Nigerian time. We sincerely appreciate you, and please do have a very wonderful evening. Thank you.
Fair online.